Welcome back to another episode of To the Wheels Fall Off. I'm Matt.
I'm Paige.
You ever had those moments when you're talking to your kids and maybe they respond a certain way, or maybe they avoid responsibility, or maybe it's like the tone in their voice or their mannerisms and it feels eerily familiar? Yeah, we have too. Believe me, it's scary and you don't know how to react because it's so triggering, because it reminds you of your addicted spouse or partner. And it becomes a situation where you feel like, I'm failing as a parent. Oh my God, how can I prevent this? They're headed down the same path. They're going to be them made over. What do I do? How do I manage this? What's normal? What's not normal? Deep breaths. We're right here with you. We've been there, and we're going to quell your fears today as we talk about this and frame the central question. Are kids doomed to repeat the patterns that they see, or is there another way to understand the moments? I think that we've got some pretty interesting takes on this. We've been there before. And some interesting research that we've looked through to, like I said,
help you navigate this.
It's going to be okay, y'all.
Yeah, we got you.
Hey, thanks to today's sponsor, SoberLink. If you don't know what SoberLink is by now, it is the world's greatest accountability device that happens to resemble a breathalyzer. SoberLink's an awesome tool that you can use to rebuild trust. It's lost in buckets and it's rebuilt in droplets. And every positive or negative, I should say, test is a deposit back into that bucket of trust. Paige is reaching over me. I was scared.
Go.
Okay. Sorry, y'all.
I found a candle. I wanted to smell it.
So you get the device, you set up a network of people that get notified every time that you use it. And so they know that you're doing the deal. They don't have to wonder. They don't have to ask you. There's no more fights. Have you been drinking? Have you not? Because they're going to know. And that serves two really awesome purposes. One, it's accountability for you, because getting sober is really difficult. And it helps to have people who know what's going on, that can hold you accountable. But it also helps to have people in your corner who are rooting you on. Whenever you've been open about this and you've told them what's going on, they're going to be there cheering you on. They're going to be supporting you along the way. And that's really, really beneficial. But I think more than anything, it's a gift that you give your loved ones. They're done fighting about, have you been drinking? Have you not? They're done worrying about your location and where you are, why you're running late, if you're lying or if you're not. While it's not going to fix every behavior, it is going to fix some of the most immediate ones to them in their environment. And that's a gift that you give them. It truly is. This is like a gift of visibility that I'm not sure many other things can provide. And SoberLink has been there for you guys as well. If you're on the other side of a relationship and you're just trying to keep your children safe, it's court admissible in all 50 states and in Canada. And it's considered the gold standard in court. If you're just trying to make sure that your children are with someone who is sober, you can get these things written into your custody agreements. And on both accounts, it's never been easier to get into a SoberLink. Right now, there are no more upfront costs, zero. You used to have to buy a device and then buy a subscription plan. Not anymore. You can rent these things now for as little as $19 a month with a 1-year qualified plan. It's $19 a month, and that's it. And since you're an awesome listener of this show, they're going to send you a $100 gift card. You can use that on whatever you want. You can use it toward the subscription plan. You can Amazon, Tufo merch, whatever you want with it. It's yours because you're an awesome listener of our show. Find out more by going to soberlink.com/wheels. Again, that's soberlink.com/wheels. And while you're on the internet, check us out, twfo.com. That's tufo.com. You can find out about our free Facebook community and our free Discord channel, which is inside the community. We don't have a link for that on the website yet, but we will. We will.
Maybe.
No, actually, no. That should only be for Facebook members. That's exclusive.
Or those that are in our community. Yes, because those that are in the community have to be listeners of the show as well. We want to keep it as safe as possible, and we have boundaries there for a reason.
Yeah, so it's a secret club for you, the listeners.
Yes.
It is, and it will remain that way. It's got regional chats, so you can connect with people around you. A lot of people meet up, they get coffee, they have conversations, they do things together. It's really awesome to watch. We've got a men's only chat in there, all kinds of awesome stuff. And this stuff is completely free, guys. This is 100% free, just for being a listener of the show. It's accessible to you, free community calls, all kinds of awesome stuff goes on in there. We've also got merch. We've got recovery rocks, for instance. This is a recovery rock right here I'm showing you. It's got our logo on the front. It's a really nice rock too. Nice rock. On the back it says, "Thank you for being my rock." It's a really cool way to acknowledge your partner or your spouse's journey with you through sobriety.
Colors may vary.
Yeah, colors may vary. Listen, like I got a lot of recognition. People were always like, "Hey, good job. Congratulations. I'm so proud of you." But no one ever asked how Paige was doing. They didn't ask about her emotional state or how she was recovering or what she was dealing with. None of that. It'd be really cool if you did. And that's why we made these. We've also got shirts and stickers and hats and all kinds of stuff up there, and more stuff on the way soon. I can't wait to get those things in. I got to get some orders done.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's going to be really.
He's been working really hard on this.
Yeah, a lot of late nights. We've also got this. This is not for sale, by the way. This water bottle I'm showing you. This is for free. This is for giveaway. It's got a poem that I wrote. It says, "There's a fire inside you. It burns from within. The source of your light is never from them." I was feeling really emotional one day, and I wanted to write something to our daughter and to Paige about where the source of their character and their light and their strength really came from. And it's hard to forget it's easy to forget sometimes that it doesn't just come from other people. It comes from us. It comes from the inside of us. There's a fire inside you, believe it or not. And this is a cool reminder of that. These are really good, high quality Owala water bottles. These are awesome. We've got 2 of these, and they are completely free for giveaway. Paige, tell them about the giveaways.
Okay, so we have a giveaway going on in our community. It's my wheelie win is the hashtag. So you go in there and you share a win that you've had for the day. It could be setting a boundary. It could be you listened to a show. It could be that you actually just got up to shower. It could be exercise. It could be journaling. It could be so many different things that has to do with you and your growth and reclaiming yourself. That's the important piece of it. And we want the group flooded with that. And it has been going really well. People have been participating. It helps hold you accountable as well. And it gives other people ideas of what to do for their own self-care.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's amazing. I love it. And we do challenges a lot within the community. We recently gave away stickers as well for people who were doing a kid challenge that Matt put out there, their inner child challenge. So we like to do that occasionally. We also have the giveaway on Instagram, which is you'll find the post on it's pinned to the top of our profile. And you just need to tag somebody that you think would benefit from the content. Each tag gets you an entry. And if you share it to your story, you get an entry as well. We're just trying to reach more people. A lot of people are struggling and they don't know, they feel alone. They don't know where to turn. And you might be surprised that if you share that information or share our content, they might be like, oh my gosh, somebody actually understands me. I've got this. I've configured this out. I've got support. I've got somewhere to turn. And that's what we're trying to do. We're just trying to help other people find this content so that they can feel less alone and push forward and learn the things that you've learned, Yeah,
you'll be shocked once you start to talk about some of the stuff, who comes out of the woodworks, who's been through it as well. And people you may not even expect who are rather close to in your inner circle. But it takes a lot of bravery to speak up. And we're going to coax you to do that with a water bottle.
And that's why it's neat to put it in your story, because you're not like directing it towards anybody. You're just like, hey, giveaway. This is, this podcast is really awesome. They've really helped me through some hard times. Or you don't even have to say that. You can just share it to your story, tag us so that I know that you shared it. And then I'll put your name in the drawing and you might not even realize that they even needed it. We don't know. A lot of people don't know who is struggling in these situations.
Oftentimes spouses struggle in silence. That's what we find. And
We've been conditioned to do so.
Yeah. And so it's a matter of us finding each other and spreading the word and making sure that's out there. And another way you can do that is just by simply leaving us a review. Leave us a review, like on whatever app you're listening on. You can leave us a short little note, a review, and it pushes the show out there. It puts it into recommended podcasts after someone's maybe their favorite podcast. Algorithms are really smart and they figure this stuff out. And you can be the reason that someone found this, which is really cool. Just like you found it. And if you've ever gotten something from it, we would really appreciate that. It costs you absolutely nothing. If you've ever wanted to give back to the show in other ways, Paige set up this really cool thing called Buy Me a Coffee. You can give as much or as little as you like. And every dollar that you guys have ever given us goes right back into the show. That includes merch, everything else. It goes back into the show, back into the stuff that we create every week. Music, rights, and cameras, and subscriptions, and lights, and editing, and all this stuff that it takes to run this thing. And we appreciate all of you so much. Like, you have no idea how much we appreciate that. Like, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you.
Yes.
And if you don't, we love you all the same. It's totally cool. It's fine. If you just want to come in here and just listen, that's totally fine too. Like, we love you all. We truly do. And we do this not just for you guys. We actually like doing it too. Mm-hmm. We have some really cool conversations here. I think our marriage has improved because of it. Yeah. And it's like, how many people sit here and we record it, sure, but like, we actually get to have these conversations every week.
We do.
It's fun.
And honestly, it's challenging us in certain ways to where it exposes some things that maybe we need to work on ourselves. Like, I've recently recognized that within me. I know I'm going off tangent, but I just kind of wanted to bring this up because I thought that this was an interesting way to bring that up, is that it has this is a different level of things that it's brought on for me that I know that I need to work on within myself. And I think that's cool.
Yeah, if you ever wanted to find the holes in your psyche, post yourself to social media on a regular basis and then read the comments. It'll let you know really quickly what you need to work on.
Yep, for sure. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, it is the criticism wound.
Does it ever, man?
But it's been great. I mean, it sucked, but it's like, oh man, like I'm learning a lot about myself during this process. And I think that me having the outlook of like not holding back is great, and actually utilizing it as a challenge has been amazing. And I know that you enjoy watching it, and you've sat by my side.
Oh yeah, it's been awesome to watch your growth. It is the finest form of exposure therapy, if you will.
Ain't that the truth?
It's been a lot of fun, but we appreciate every one of you that support us along the way, even if that's just hey, like we get your DMs and we see them. Like we're still small enough that we can like read emails and stuff like that. And thank you all. And hey, if you ever have a suggestion for an episode, something we haven't covered, send us a suggestion. You can do that via email, or you can just click a link in your show description right now. And it's a one-way messenger, so we can't message back, but you can send a suggestion.
And we don't know who you are.
Yeah.
We just know where you're from. It says your location.
That's about it. We know that you're from whatever place, and that's it. And it's a really cool way to, if there's something you would like our thoughts on, we'd love to give them. If it's something that we feel like we're knowledgeable enough about, there's some things like it's out of my wheelhouse, but we have also got some really cool guests sort of in the works right now that I can't wait to get on, because those are conversations that maybe we're not like qualified to have, but other people are. And I can't wait to just talk to them, get their insights, and so that you guys can hear it too. We will ask questions on your behalf, and it's going to be awesome.
Yep.
Stick with us. We're growing. We've got big plans, and I can't wait to see what this thing turns into.
Yep.
It's going to be great.
Yep.
All right. To this episode, this was a pretty cool topic. It's an interesting one, because I think it's something that we've all encountered, but you don't really think too hard about it. It's almost one of those fleeting thoughts. I think parenthood in a lot of ways is like we're winging it, right? Like kids don't come with instruction manuals, and a lot of decisions you make are pretty quick, and you're doing your absolute best and you move on to the next one. But this one comes up a lot. It comes up for us, I know, and it probably comes up for you guys too. Whenever your children do something that reminds you of your spouse or partner that's been problematic in your life, it can be the tone of their voice. It can be some of their actions. It can be avoiding accountability. It can be being sneaky or lying. Any of this stuff that's like, oh shit. And it brings up that trigger, right? You trigger in those moments because it reminds you of dealing with your spouse or partner. And in some ways you want to react to them like your spouse or partner. But at the same time, you also want to just crawl down into a ball and cry, because the one thing that you've tried to protect from this is now exhibiting those behaviors, and you feel like, oh shit, it's too late. They're going to be just like them, and I've failed as a parent, and it's scary. It's really scary. How did this all come to be as an episode? Okay,
so this was a topic that was brought up in our recent Independently Strong support group meeting, which we hold every Wednesday for those in the program. And an awesome wheelie, said that something along the lines of her children reminded her of her spouse and what they were doing. And she's like, I'm not really sure how to manage this. And I was like, okay, this is a really good topic to have as a podcast, because I think that a lot of people feel the same way, and a lot of people will benefit from it, because I know that I've felt the same way as well. And I've worked through it. I've actually like done some things to figure out, okay, this doesn't work, this does work, whatever. Because when you're in a relationship with somebody where there's been betrayal trauma or something like that, you're very sensitive to the things around you. You're sensitive to what your children are doing. You're sensitive to people, the behavior. You're very, very aware about what people are doing, and your body and your mind even like they react to it, because it's like, oh, this is a trigger. My body is going to respond to this. They're acting just like their father. They're doing things that are really uncomfortable for me. And now you go down, you start spiraling, or you might start spiraling. You might think that, oh my gosh, I'm doing the worst parenting ever, or I don't know how to handle this, or they're just going to end up just like them. When that's not the reality. We're just going to help you reframe that a little bit within this episode and look at it from a different perspective that helped me personally, and Matt as well, in our parenting skills, and what we do whenever these things do pop up.
And the fear is natural because the stakes are so high. These are our children, right?
It's the most important job that we have as a parent.
And so a lot of the behaviors that drive you absolutely crazy are at the front of your mind because you're exposed to them so often. Like we were talking about this earlier. Like how often do you think the average person thinks about lying or someone lying to them? Like,
you don't think about that because they haven't been in those relationships where it's actually, rewired your brain and has harmed you.
Yeah. Like how many people walking around, I mean, we've all been harmed by lies of some degree.
Of
We've
course,
all been wronged by somebody, but when it's persistent and it's occurring in your home on a regular basis,
in your most intimate relationship,
it's at very front of mind and you're thinking about it. Maybe you're even posting about it in the community. Maybe it's been something you've been working through in therapy about how to trust somebody again. And then when you see that behavior in your home, but not from them, from your child, it's like, oh, you're going to automatically, your brain is going to associate that with that person.
Yes.
And you feel like a panic come across you. You feel like you've lost control of everything in that moment. Like the one precious thing in your life you were trying to protect, you've almost like failed in that moment.
Yeah. And if you talk to some of your normie friends, we're going to call them normies in a way, because it could be like, okay, they haven't experienced. I know, but you know what I mean? Because you call normies that can drink or whatever. So I think people who haven't been in this position, okay, you might talk to them about the issues that you're having with your kids. And they may say, well, that's just, what kids do. And they might think, we're crazy or something because we're making a big deal out of something or whatnot, but they don't understand. They haven't been in that situation before. So they don't understand why we're so hyper aware of it.
Yeah. Their worldview and their context is completely different.
Right. So if you ever had that happen, we're here for you. We totally get it. Like we know what you're going through. So I want to go through a few examples of what children do that might remind you of your spouse or whatnot, so that you can say, oh yeah, my kid does that. You might hear this and be like, oh shit, yeah, I've definitely been triggered by that. And then you might react to it. And it's like, oh my gosh, I feel really bad that I reacted this way because that's my child. And I felt like I shouldn't react that way. But then again, you're like, oh my gosh, but they're re-traumatizing me. What if they are actually harming me?
Yeah.
That's the question that goes through your mind. And then you're like, you just spiral. So we're going to help with that. So an example would be, let's say that you have a teen who slams the door and they yell, "You just don't understand
all
me."
Teens.
And when that happens, you're thinking, "Oh my gosh, my spouse does the same thing," and it makes you have a flashback to when your husband or your wife or whomever had like angry outbursts. Like your body doesn't know the difference, right? It doesn't know the difference between a kid yelling at you constantly or an adult or whatnot. So that's why we have to train our brains to like reconnect and rewire those things so that your body can actually not become triggered by them eventually, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So another one is going to be what if you might see your child sneak candy wrappers and you find them and it just makes you feel really triggered because it makes you think of the times that you would discover your spouse's bottles or their stash or whatnot. You're like, oh my gosh, they're hiding stuff. They're hiding stashes now. What am I going to do? This is just like their father. They're going to be just like them. Oh, this is so scary. Another one is going to be like, if you have a child who screams whenever they're overwhelmed, okay, they have a lot of learning to do. A lot of kids are going to scream whenever they're overwhelmed or they're going to lash out or they may have angry outbursts. It's pretty common for kids to do this, but sometimes they'll do it and it might make you feel, oh no, they're just like their dad or their mom, this is not good. Or maybe they throw things out of anger. Or tonight we had an example with our own children. We were talking about schoolwork and things that they needed to improve on, and
got some grades slipping a little bit.
Yeah, and there was a lack of accountability. There was a lot of blaming. There was a lot of
fault. Yeah, they don't have enough time.
It's like I don't have enough time. My extracurriculars. When am I going to have time? Like they were very upset,
teachers are
and
horrible.
They were really like vocal about it, and they were like they had emotions about it, and I think that we handled it really well.
Yeah, but what did it sound like in the very beginning?
In the beginning, it sounded like an emotionally immature adult, like your partner who is in active addiction or a dry drunk or something.
It sounded like familiar.
Very, very, very familiar. Like I know these behaviors. My mind recognizes the behaviors. And I think, initially you think, oh, well, shit, what are we going to do again? Like everything that I'm saying, I was like, what are we going to do about this? But the reality is that it's our job to, teach them these things. So we had a conversation. I let them have these emotions and I let them feel however they needed to feel. We didn't lash out at them. And we talked to them and we came up with solutions. And then they finally were able to take accountability. And then they were recognizing their own patterns, and their part. So I asked them like, what is your part in this? Because I don't like it when people blame others for other problems, even though we do that a lot sometimes, but it depends on the context, right?
Sure.
But when it comes to kids, I want that, especially when it comes to this subject, it's like, what is your part in this? Your teacher isn't to blame for all of this. Like that's not
Did everyone
acceptable.
Fail?
So I have to hold them accountable. I want them to be held accountable. And when we do that, we're teaching them how to hold themselves accountable so that they're not blaming whatever their
and then they had
external
some really good ideas about different ways they could study, better ways to use their time, to make sure that they got some of their assignments done, to take the stuff more seriously. Like they're really busy in extracurriculars, which we believe is important, and it's going to be a struggle sometimes to get it all done, but that's our challenge to them. Is like, this is what you wanted, this is what you signed up for, now you have to deliver on it, and you can't just blame other people when you come up short. You're going to have to put forth some more effort. And they did I think they're so proud of them. Both did a really good job. We'll see if they're playing us or not as the next round of grades comes through.
No, but I was really proud of the way that they handled it and the way that they started to acknowledge things. And it takes time for them to get to that point though. When they're younger, they still don't really know how to take accountability. We have to teach them how to do that.
Yeah.
It doesn't come natural to anybody. People have to be taught to do that.
Yeah, you do, man. It's just in those moments when you see those behaviors, like I would like to think, had I never gone through what I've gone through, or we didn't do what we do here, that when we saw this kind of stuff, we would kind of laugh it off as like, well, yeah, kids, they all do that.
Yeah.
But when your background is such that it's been such an important factor in your life to try to deal with someone who's emotionally immature and doesn't take accountability, or they lie, or they use like DARVA or whatever it might be, manipulate you with emotions,
or I'm not good enough,
yeah, well, I'm just horrible, like I feel horrible, you're making me feel like I'm an idiot, whatever it is. Like they start to throw, they'll guilt trip you and all that stuff. Like that's stuff that we all did growing up, and that's part of childhood development in a lot of ways. It's not part of adult development, but it just sucks that we've been tainted in some ways because we've had to experience that.
Exactly.
And we
shouldn't have to be hyper aware of this.
Yeah, and this works in the inverse as well. If you grew up with emotionally immature parents, you will also project some of these behaviors onto your spouse, and you will think, like, I've been through this as well. Like I had someone in my life when I was younger that would manipulate with emotions, and when Paige would get upset or sad, my mind went straight there. Is that's what she's trying to do. I know this behavior. I've seen this. I grew up with this, and that wasn't the case at all. And it caused a lot of conflict, and it made it really difficult for me to determine what's normal and what's manipulation, because once you're exposed to it, you can't unsee it. And when it comes to kids, like there's just going to be, it's an inherent part of growing up. It's an inherent part of their development and their adolescence as they push boundaries and they figure out what they can get away with, as they try to split from you and they're trying to form their own identity and they kind of isolate. That's another one that a lot of people, I think we didn't mention here, but like isolation, like when your kids just want to be alone as they're going through like their teen years, like they're just going to isolate, and that's going to be a trigger because maybe your spouse does that. And that's when they start like maybe that's part of their relapse behaviors, is when they start to isolate and they start to seem depressed or whatever else. But so much of this stuff is just normal part of growing up. And it's really difficult whenever you've seen the worst side of that. And it's so hard to unwind it and to reteach yourself like what's normal and what's not. And then how do I respond? Because triggers can be physical. Like you don't get a say in this. It just happens. Something is going to occur. They're going to say something. And in those moments, you are going to want to react the way that you're used to reacting, which is getting upset, getting angry, responding from like a very emotional, reactive place, not from the parent that you are and the very responsible adult that you
and
are.
And how you want to model.
Yeah, it comes from and it brings out the worst in you is what I'm trying to say in a lot of ways. And it's just, man, we've been through this before. I've seen it in our son. I've seen it in our daughter. And I'm like, oh no, they're just like me. I'll see that
even me. Like there's some things they do and I'm like, oh shit. Like they're going to be just like me in that part. That sucks. But that's just not the reality. So we're going to reframe it. We're going to help you like reframe this real quick so that it will help you recognize what's beneficial and what's not. So the core principle is that emotional immaturity in children is normal. Emotional immaturity in adults is damaging.
It's not normal.
It's not normal. No, it's not. So your spouse probably never learned how to regulate their emotions. And if they're still using, they definitely do not know how to regulate their emotions. They don't know how to feel their emotions from beginning to end. They don't know how to be emotionally mature It's more of like they're very childlike, and you have to look at them like children. The only difference is that they're not supposed to be like that, but children are supposed to be like that.
Yeah, and when we say supposed to, like I can already see the people coming after us on that. Like, listen, we understand that adults oftentimes are wounded children that have grown up without any lessons of their own. I think the way that I can put it simply is that at this point, you ought to know better. And children don't know better.
Exactly.
They don't have the life experience. They've never heard the conversations. As an adult, you have. Okay. So I understand that you might be struggling. You might not have had the best start to life or the best environment, but you know better at this point. And that's the difference, is that children don't. Like, they get the benefit of the doubt. They really do. Like, you don't even have to convince yourself of it, because you were a kid. You remember what that was like. You don't know shit. You don't have the experience, you know?
Yeah. And
you're just a kid. And developmental psychology shows this too. I mean, you can look at executive functioning, like planning, impulse control, and all that good stuff. Like, it doesn't really develop until your mid-20s. Like, the brain, it's really interesting. Like, when we look at like alcohol, for instance, like the legal drinking age in the United States is 21, but the brain's still developing, I think, especially in males, until like late 20s, early 30s. And so it's like, what kind of arbitrary number did we pick to say 21 years old is the age at which you should start to really throw this dangerous substance into a developing brain, you know, or any number of other things we put in our bodies. But I mean, research it shows that like children don't have this sort of functioning. They're still developing. The brain takes a very long time to develop. I saw this funny TikTok the other day, and I couldn't tell if it was serious or not. I didn't go research it, but they were talking about
everywhere. It's hilarious.
Would you think it was serious? I couldn't even tell. Maybe, I don't know. Let me know. I didn't look at this. I probably should have, but it was like talking about the difference between men and women, and how women generally mature faster. And we know this, and like there's research on this. Like you can look at test scores and things like that with young girls versus young boys. They generally do better, but they said like men don't fully mature, like from an emotional level, at like, it was like 30. Would you say 39?
I think it was 42.
42.
It was something like that. It was in their 40s.
And women was much younger than that. It was like in their 20s or something like that. But it was hilarious, because in the comments it was like, have you ever met a 42-year-old man? Like, there's no way. It's got to be like at least 65, you know, throwing shade or whatever else. But I think the point is still true, is that like we all mature at different rates, and we develop at different rates. And if we can all agree on one thing, it's that children don't have these tools. They just don't.
They don't. So I have a question to ask you, though.
Oh, interesting.
Do you feel like it's the spouse's responsibility to teach an adult emotional regulation and maturity?
I don't think it's the responsibility of your partner to teach you how to show up necessarily in the world. Mm-hmm. But I think that there is something beautiful about relationships, and that's sort of like shared values. And I think one of the most interesting things that like I've come to understand being in a relationship with you now for going on 25 years is that the more I get to know you, the more I realize how much I don't know about you. And there's still so many parts of you that I've yet to explore. Mm-hmm. And there's edges of you that I've just now started to really kind of understand. And through that, I learned more about the world and myself. So in some ways you do teach me.
Yeah, but in these situations though.
But I don't think that it's your job to teach an adult how to adult necessarily. I think that as friends, let's just say it in a friendship, in a platonic relationship, I generally am attracted to people that have a quality that I either want to develop or I find attractive in some way. Mm-hmm. And I find that attractive because I think maybe in some way I want that for myself. Like I like being around it because it's an enjoyable thing, whatever it might be, for someone who's funny or someone who's quirky or creative or whatever it might be. And I'm kind of learning from them in some ways.
Right.
But I don't think it is the duty of a spouse or a partner to teach their partner how to adult. No, I do not.
Okay. And I know that even if they are still using or whatnot, there's no way to even go down that route anyway. Like they have to learn how to do things on their own. But with our unique-ish situation, since we had been together since we were 14, and you say that they don't develop until the mid-20s, and that's obvious. That's when you stopped taking substances as well. Do you think that I still played a part in that when it came to you developing emotional intelligence or learning how to regulate your emotions or anything like that?
Yes.
Was my environment like helpful in that
I think
regard?
That it sort of came in waves and phases. Like I was ready to learn it once I was ready to learn it. Once I accepted like the lessons that you were, I think, let me back up. I think that for so long you were so far ahead of me from an emotional level that you understood your emotional state. You saw the big picture from 30,000 feet. And I was down here in the weeds and I couldn't tell left from right. I was so lost in it all. And I think that in a lot of ways you were like my lighthouse. Like I could look at you and I would just know like there's something that she knows that I don't. And there's something I knew I needed to listen. I knew I needed to watch. I knew I needed to shut my mouth and take in what you were trying to say, not like teach me, but as you were trying to express to me how you would feel during a fight or something like that. Like I'm really recording this information. I'm like, oh, okay. Like I get it. Like what she's saying is that like I should care about the way she feels, not just because a lot of our arguments were like, you would tell me how you felt and I would say that's stupid. You shouldn't feel that way. And what you were trying to say to me was, you should care because you love me. You should care because I'm your best friend. You should care because I care. And that took me a long time to like wrap my head around. This sounds terrible. I hate admitting this out loud, but it is what it is. I'm just going to be honest. It took enough of that over time and me wanting to really understand what you were trying to get at. And so in some ways you taught me emotional intelligence. But it was really once I got sober and I started to really work on myself and I started to get in like, groups and therapy and things like that. And it got exposed to the language of emotions. I started to really, really take off. And then I think it fast forwarded everything and it took off really quickly after that.
Well, yeah. So I just think that
in some ways you did.
No, I think that I might have been an influence.
Influence is a great way to put it.
More positive influence on you, but you had to learn how to do those things on your own. You needed the tools from somebody outside of me.
Yeah. I guess
that's why I think as like with our listeners, I don't want them to think that like, oh, they have to teach their spouse emotional intelligence or anything like that.
I guess behind any journey that you take in life, whatever it might be, there's got to be a pretty powerful why behind it all. And I think the why for me was always challenging myself to be a better man. And part of that was for you. Part of that was just for me too. Yeah, it really became about me.
Yeah.
I wanted to be better for the sake of just being better. You or not didn't matter to me anymore. And so I guess at some point you served as my why.
Yeah.
But the how of it all was all up to me.
Yeah.
And
but it should be you. It should have been you.
Figured it out and became aware of a lot of this stuff. And I really, I guess, started to focus on it. Yeah. But in some ways, I would say that you were an inspiration for it for sure.
Yeah.
And I guess you kind of taught me indirectly.
Yeah. No, I think that
you never like set me down and was like, I need you to understand this concept. Like,
it was never me trying to train you or anything. It was just like me taking care of myself and learning my own boundaries and speaking up or whatnot. That's kind of like what it was. It wasn't about you. It wasn't about trying to get you to do certain things.
The bottom line is, regardless of my answer just now, because I know it sounded kind of ambiguous, but you can't teach the unwilling. I think that's what you ought to know about all of this stuff in emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
You can't teach the unwilling, right? Like children generally are willing. Like they're willing because they want to please you. Like they want to do well.
Well, not necessarily please you. I think that they strive on structure. They strive on learning new things. Their minds are moldable. They look up to us. They want us to give them answers.
Yeah. Yeah. And so like they're willing, but there are many adults who aren't willing.
No, they're set in their ways. They're stuck. They're like,
you can spend your whole life trying to teach them.
Right.
But if they're not willing to learn, they're not going to learn. And once they've developed to a certain level, like what sucks about developing without emotional intelligence is that not only is your brain less malleable and plastic or elastic, I should say, at that point, like not only has your cognitive ability started to decline, so is your willingness. And because we get so stubborn later in life, And we were talking about this today, like every human on the planet, look around, in some way believes that their way is the best way, because they are alive today, and that is proof to them. Like everyone's inner world is such that they think that their unique way of going about things is superior to yours in some way. I think everyone has some aspect of their life that we feel this way about. Imagine an emotionally immature person with that sort of arrogance.
Yes,
and how dangerous that can be.
Absolutely. Yeah. And kids don't have that.
Kids don't have that. They have an openness and a willingness because they don't have the confidence.
Because we're the ones that are supposed to be the safe space for them, and they want to learn from that.
Yeah, so right. And they don't have 30 years of history to like have this stack of proof that says like, I know what I'm talking about, because they don't.
No.
Even if they say they do and they act like they do, they don't.
Yeah, no, it's still our responsibility to hold them accountable and set boundaries and teach them and show them the way. So if like, just to think about the difference between a child and an adult. Let's say that your child lies about brushing their teeth.
They do that.
Which they're gonna do. It's
Actually,
normal.
You know what? Ours don't. Ours will just tell me they didn't, and I'm like, brother, really?
Yeah. But they don't lie about that. That's good.
I really appreciate the fact that he just tells me, like, it's usually him. He's like, I didn't floss. I'm like, you got to floss. Pal, we've been through this.
Yeah. I mean, they're typically pretty honest, but I have caught them in lies before, but it's the way that I utilize it as a teaching opportunity. Every time these behaviors surface, it's like, this is an opportunity for me to teach them how to handle themselves, and it will go into adulthood. So with a child...
Let me ask you a question. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
If the kids lie, if you catch one of them in a lie and they've lied about something, how do you feel in the moment that you've caught them? Is it anger? Is it fear?
It's all of it. I have so much going through my brain.
And do you feel like, oh, this is Matt? This is Matt.
Yes, there are times. Absolutely.
Fair. Yeah, thank you for answering that honestly.
Yes, absolutely. I'm like, oh God.
The opposite of that, how would it feel if you caught me in a lie?
Same. It would feel the same way.
Would you feel...
But I would react differently.
Would you feel more betrayed?
Yes, I would feel more betrayed. Yeah. So when an adult lies, if they're lying about something, continuously, then that's just betrayal. That's literally harming you. These types of lies with children, it's an opportunity to teach them something different.
Yeah.
It's not harming you in particular. And it doesn't mean that you're a bad parent because they're doing these things.
Yeah.
But it does need to be addressed, It's teaching people to be held accountable.
Yeah, at certain stages in their development, I think it's safe to say that children are literally hardwired to be impulsive and short-sighted about things. I think it's more than fair to say, because they don't have tools to tell them otherwise. They haven't developed them yet. Adults don't have that excuse.
No.
We don't have that excuse.
No, because we've learned right from wrong throughout life. Like we know what's right and what's wrong and what hurts people and what doesn't.
It's betrayal
it's not an excuse.
Coming from your partner.
Yeah.
When a kid's doing it, it's like, okay, I get it. You're a kid. I get it.
Yeah, you just have to reframe it.
But the feeling's the same initially.
No, it is.
And that's what's tough for a parent who's dealing with a spouse like this.
Right. But now that I've dealt with this a lot and I've really learned how to navigate it, I don't really have those triggers as much necessarily anymore. It's more of like, okay, you're a kid. What can we do about this? Let's have this as a teaching opportunity.
Okay, now let's talk about nurture versus nature. Let's talk about destiny, if you will. Let's talk about the genetics that are built into us. And so many traits are heritable. So much of our behaviors and the way that we look and our appearance and even the way we run. It's hilarious. Our son runs just like Paige, y'all. Like, it's freaking hilarious. Because it's a carbon copy. It's wild. And like no one taught him that. He just does it, right? And
we don't know how to run.
We can look at our kids, as a couple and be like, yo, that's you. That part is you, and then that part is me, and vice versa. And we play around. We kind of poke fun at each other at these certain things at their expense without realizing it. Sorry, y'all. We love you, kids. If you ever hear this, we probably won't. You'll do the same with yours. But either way, I think that there's so much about all of this that's like heritable and genetic. And I think whenever something like lying pops up or manipulation, it's like, oh shit, they're just like him. Like, just be honest. How often does it pop in your mind when a bad behavior comes from either one of them where you go, that's Matt?
Yes, all the time.
And
I used to do that.
It doesn't offend me whatsoever. That is what I feel the same way is what I'm saying. Like, oh shit, there goes me again.
Right. Or there goes Paige, like you said, with him running. Like, it is what it is.
It doesn't bother me how he runs, but lying is a different story. That affects people.
Right. No, I did have the fear of them becoming just like you based on those behaviors.
Yeah, but okay, so nurture versus nature. You guys have probably heard me talk about this. We had Dr. Taylor on quite some time ago. Go back and check those episodes out if you want to hear more about it. But the way he puts it, and I love it, is that nature loads the gun, but your environment pulls the trigger. So you can have genetic vulnerabilities. You can carry like a gene for cancer, for instance. You can carry a gene for addiction, for instance. But it is your environment, and sometimes it's outside events that are out of your control that set these things off, that activate them, if you will. So like addiction, if there's, there are how many, I think I looked in here earlier, there's a handful of traits or genes that they actually explored. And they're not so much addiction genes. They're actually, I think that they were dopamine pathways. It was dopamine deficiency genes. That's what they were. And they have different names and things like that. But here they are: DRD2, OPRM1, and COMT. Makes people more prone to seeking reward through substances. Mm-hmm. Our kids probably have a copy of this gene from me.
At least one of them does. Yes.
If I have the gene, chances that they have this gene. And so it's scary when you're raising your children as a recovered addict and as a spouse that's watched addiction and almost wrecked both of our lives. And you're like, oh shit, like here it comes, like here it goes. And you're always so hyper aware of how you control this environment in a way that doesn't set this off. You start to you start to see some behaviors that a normal kid would have, like sneaking candy. Like we had this going on, and I was a candy sneaker as well. And so when I see it in me, I automatically go to I go from normal kid behavior. That's a drug addict.
Yep.
And I skip everything in between.
Yep.
You know, and like I want to paint him with that, but it's just because someone might have a disposition for something genetically doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to have that thing.
Exactly.
I want you to take some kind of peace in that. This is how I sleep at night because I have this thing in my home too. Like I've got kids, like I had kids. And in some way, when we decided to have children, we also decided to pass down the good and the bad of us, you know? And so but not everything is going to be heritable. Like
no, but a lot of people,
show up anyway.
A lot of people will weaponize the whole genetic thing as well too, though. They'll say, oh, I have that addict gene and that's just who I am. I'm just predisposed to do that. And then sometimes you'll say, well, my kid has that too. So they're just going to end up like that. So if you can't win, don't try. Don't even try to change their environment or anything like that, because this is just what's going to happen. No, man, you can break cycles. You can break generational cycles based on your environment and how you are raising your children and how you're modeling a healthy relationship with them. That's what's important, not necessarily the genes that go along with it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like it's not a guarantee by any means. Like so much of the environment plays a factor.
Huge.
The modeling, the guidance that they get, the boundaries that they have, and the guardrails that they have, and you being an involved parent and the structure. And it's not going to prevent it guaranteed, but you're giving yourself a much better chance. You're giving yourself every chance that you possibly can. Let's say that you've got a gene for skin cancer, melanoma, or something like that. It'd be a good idea that you didn't go out in the sun without sunblock. Like Paige's got that runs in her family.
Or you make sure that you go to the dermatologist every year to get your skin checked.
Did you set up your appointment?
No, I need to do that. This was a great reminder. Thank you.
All right, cool.
I'm due this month. This month I'm due. I'm supposed to go. So I need to go do that.
Perfect.
But I do wear sunscreen. I'm careful in the sun. You just have to be more diligent. You have to make sure that you're doing what you need to do to try to prevent it. You don't know if you're going to prevent it fully, but at least you can tell yourself that you're giving it a shot. And that has to do with parenting kids too. It's like, I'm at least trying as hard as I possibly can, doing the best that I can do to make sure that they do become productive members of society and are given the best shot of happiness and having emotional maturity and not addiction and all those things, instead of saying, oh, well, you know what? They're just going to have that anyway since their dad had it. So we're just going to have
copies,
we're going to cross that bridge when we get there. Like, no, I'm still going to work really hard to try to change that.
Yeah.
Because I have purpose in that. That's part of my purpose. And I don't want to look back and think, well, I didn't try hard enough, but I still have it in the back of my mind. I'm always going to have it in the back of my mind that it's a possibility that these things can happen, but at least I have the tools to deal with it if it does.
Yes, absolutely. So while your genetics can increase your vulnerability to some things, environment and parenting styles also have a huge role, and they have a lot to say here about how this stuff presents itself. And there are studies on resilience and things like that. And there's even one I need to read into more that talks about how even high risk children can thrive, not just survive, but thrive when it was they have at least one stable nurturing parent. And that's huge. That's huge. I wanted to go through this other list real quick of these different genes that are heritable, because this is just really interesting to me.
Okay, go for it.
From a science perspective.
Yeah, no, I love that.
There are genes that are related to impulsivity and risk-taking traits.
Okay.
It's called 5-HTTLPR. And it predisposes someone to novelty seeking, thrill seeking, and poor impulse control. So, but your environment plays a huge part on on how this looks. If it's dangerous, reckless behavior like crime and addiction, or you could be the next Elon Musk. You could be the next great entrepreneur in the world, or the next great athlete. Or creative innovator or something like that. And so the same gene can sort of present itself in different ways. Like addiction, I've always said.
I was hoping you were going to say this.
In some ways, like I don't mean to diminish at all what you're going through with addiction, because if you're listening to the show, you might be looking at some of the worst pieces of it and how it can truly destroy somebody. But I think that some of those same traits can be used in a really positive way. Mm-hmm. And I mean that, and I say this shit with my whole chest.
Yep.
That the determination and the grind and the stubbornness and the agency it takes to keep an addiction going can be applied in other areas of your life to build amazing businesses, to be the best parent in the entire world, to be an incredible listener and an amazing friend and someone who's there for other people, great leadership. Like it's a feature, not a bug. It depends on how you want to look at it, right? And I think that your environment, especially in recovery, the one you create for yourself, it can really change the way you look at some of those traits. Some of the ones
repurposing it,
right? Some of the same ones that destroyed you can actually like really further you in life, push you really far. Yeah. Anxiety and mood sensitivity is another one. The same serotonin transporter gene, which is 5-HTT-LPR, that short allele that was responsible for impulsivity and high risk taking traits, is also tied to higher risk of anxiety and depression. But it also makes people more responsive to positive environments. They call this the orchid dandelion hypothesis. It's the same genetic sensitivity can produce crippling anxiety in chaotic homes, or deep empathy and emotional intelligence in supportive ones. It just goes to show how much your environment can affect some of this stuff.
Oh yeah.
It's really interesting. So like it's a switch, right? Your environment can be a switch for this kind of stuff, which I think as parents should give us peace and calm and pause that like, okay, that's one factor I can kind of control. I decide where we live and who we live with and what that environment's like and what your extracurriculars and your schedule and what time we get up and the meals that we eat, all that stuff like you're in charge of. And that should give you some kind of peace, I would hope. It gives me peace.
Yeah, for
sure. It really does. So it's not just destined, right? And you've probably known this. Think about like two siblings that grow up in the same home and one develops addiction and the other one doesn't. And the difference isn't necessarily exposure. It's how adults in their life modeled coping and accountability. It's their friend circles. It's who they ran with. It's maybe a girlfriend they got, whoever, right? It can change things. I want people to don't feel like it's when you see these behaviors, you're like, oh, it's cooked. I'm cooked. It's over. It's done. It's happening again. I'm going to go through this again. Hold on. Deep breaths. I'm there with you. Not necessarily.
Yep.
All right. Let's get into recognizing.
A little tangent. Thank you.
Yeah, that's fun.
So we talked about triggers earlier of how these behaviors can have can make you respond in a way that is tongue twister. I know. Oh my gosh. That can make you respond in a way that you're not super proud of. And a lot of the reactions might be, you might over discipline or you might shame your kids by saying like, you're just like your father. We need to recognize that.
Has ours ever heard that?
I don't know. Possibly.
Maybe.
I don't know in this context. Like, I don't think that whenever
I know I've heard I'm just like mine before. From people.
From me?
Maybe. I don't know. But
saying that you're just like your dad?
Yeah. Or that you're just like your mother. I've heard that from people.
Oh. No, I mean, I've brought up certain things that you've done and I'm like, oh, well, that reminds me of somebody in particular.
The reason I bring this up is because it doesn't feel good to say that kind of stuff about someone that everyone agrees isn't the best at XYZ, whatever it might be. If it's not, find a different comparison or just bring up objectively what they've done and just mention that.
Right. Yeah. No. I might say it in other ways, not when they're behaving a certain way like this. I don't think I've done that, but I could definitely ask my kids to see if they've asked our kids and see if I've ever said that. But either way,
I don't think you have really.
I don't think I have either. But I do know that we do that because we recognize and we think that they are being just like this person. But we have to remember that they're individuals too. Like a lot of the times we forget that they're individuals that might have certain traits of their parents or whatnot. But we can't like project that onto them. We need to let them know that they are individuals. So when we say like, you're just like so-and-so, that can make them feel pretty bad.
In some ways, it almost reinstills this like destiny idea too. That like, I'm going to end up just like that person.
Yeah, absolutely. And another one that you might do, another reaction would be overindulging to prevent conflict.
Oh, yeah. Like going too hard on the softer side of things.
So you're overcompensating, like you're overdoing it. You're like, oh, I don't want you to be like this person. So I'm going to do the opposite of what was done to them to make them do what they do. You know, I've struggled with this before where I'm like, okay, I know why you were the way you were, where it came from. So I'm just going to do the opposite.
Let's say structure, right? Like
yes,
I definitely needed more structure.
Yes.
We both identified this when we were teenagers together.
Yeah.
And so like we knew that when we had kids, like one of the things you started on early before the kids were ever born is like our home will have structure.
Yes.
We will have structure. We will have bedtimes. We will have like family dinners. We will have extracurriculars. You will be certain places at certain times. And at times you can almost be drill sergeant about that.
Yes.
And maybe too
heavy on it.
Yeah.
So you have to find the balance of like what's really going to work.
But what's driving that desire is the context of us and where I came from.
Yes.
It's that trigger from from what you saw with me. And that's what's driving it. And it takes a lot of self-awareness for you, spouse or partner, listening to this to kind of recognize when you're doing it and dial back as necessary or push forward as necessary.
More.
One or the other, right?
Yeah, because there are sometimes whenever you'll freeze or like you'll avoid correcting your child when they're doing something because you're scared you're going to cause more damage. You know, I did that as well. I was like, I don't know how to set boundaries. I don't want them to get in trouble because I feel like they're going to be damaged by what I say to them or what I do to them because I've seen it. You know, I'm just so hyper aware, and it's weird because like I was raised in a pretty structured home. I was raised in like with boundaries and all these things. But when it came to me becoming a parent, I just saw some really hard things with Matt. That becoming a parent was really scary and very challenging because I was scared that I was going to completely fuck up based on what I've seen, even though I was raised a totally different way, which I've tried to instill that way. We've found a good balance, I think. Like we found a good middle ground on how we're raising them or whatnot. But a lot of people will avoid all of those boundaries and stuff because they're scared they're going to cause harm to their kids.
Yeah. Man, I just remembered this, and I don't think I've ever talked about this. When I wrote this poem, the one on this water bottle I was talking about, there's a fire inside you. That was for you and our daughter. And then I wrote another one for my son. And I can't remember the exact words that I used, but it was more or less how I could see some of my fire inside of him. And he could use it for good or bad. And it was really up to him. And I promised to give him the environment to make sure that I would do everything I could, but it was almost a reminder to him, like there's something amazing inside you, but it can run the opposite way really fast. And you just need to be aware of that. And you can be an amazing man one day, but you could also, those same tools could destroy you, destroy everything you love, you know?
Right.
Hopefully he's just more like you.
Nah, I think that he needs to be him. And that's where we need to really differentiate this stuff. Like we try so hard, like, or we say these things like, you're just like your mom, you're just like your dad, or I see this and that. It's like, we really need to look at them as just individuals and say, I hope you're like you, instead of overcomplicating it.
Yeah.
You know, if we think about it that way, like, I
or
want
maybe
you to be you.
oversimplifying it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, it's not that simple. They're complex. They're their own beings. You know, they have, like they grew up on different shows and different schools and different kids and different environments and everything.
And we
else.
should feed those things that they are,
while also respecting their genetics.
Exactly. So the important thing to remember here is that the triggers that you have, the reactions that you have that you feel are not, the best for your kids, that's about your partner's actions and their behavior. It's not about your child. It's not about them. It's not about their behavior.
Right.
You're just thinking you're looking at it through a lens of like, this is what my partner did to me, therefore you're doing the same thing. And you struggle with separating those.
It's tough.
It's really, really, really tough. It's hard, but it's manageable. I promise. Like you will be able to get through this.
Yeah. You have to name that trigger. Like I'm reacting to my spouse right now, not my kid.
Yeah.
My kid's my kid.
They're doing
They're doing what kids
do.
And it's so tough to do at times.
Yeah.
And the opposite of that, the inverse of that too, is like if you've been through something traumatic in your own childhood and you can be reacting to your spouse, your partner, anyone else, it's like, I'm mad at my dad right now, or I'm mad at my mother right now. This isn't like, just because the behavior is similar doesn't mean this is the exact same thing. It's sometimes people just have feelings and emotions, but those can trigger parts of us. And man, that's why like therapy is important. Check out therapy, explore some of that stuff. If you've got some serious wounds that are preventing you from connecting with people and like being the best version of yourself, it's important that you explore that kind of stuff and become aware of it at the very least. Yeah.
So you just reminded me of a part, and I believe it was Big Daddy, where the guy is walking down the street and Adam Sandler says, you're not mad at me, you're mad at your dad.
Yeah.
He's like, he's right.
I am mad at
my dad. I am mad at him. So it just reminded me of that.
It's true, man.
It's so random. Okay, but yeah. So the way that you can like get through these reactions is like Matt said, name it. I'm responding to my spouse, not my child. Pause and regulate. Like before you react to this, just try to pause. It can take like 90 seconds for your feeling. Don't indulge in that feeling. Like, don't go after it. Don't chase it. Feel it, accept it, acknowledge it. Don't judge it, but give it 90 seconds for it to like calm down. And then you can like actually respond in a way that's more meaningful for you and that goes towards your values. You can also talk to a support system and not your child about your fears, about what you're going through. We have a support system with Independently Strong. Well, we have it online as well, but we do have like deeper conversations like this.
Yeah, this is where these topics come up.
This is where these topics come up. They're very growth oriented. Sometimes they're deeper than your average topic, I guess. Sometimes they're based on the podcast. Sometimes it's something that I'm just like, ooh, this is going to be a really good topic.
Sometimes it's based on the program material.
Yes, sometimes it's based on the program material, but you get calls. We do calls every Wednesday evening with people going through similar things as you. It's a great place to just speak your fears and what you're dealing with. The program is called Independently Strong. You can go to independentlystrong.com. We no longer have the coupon. That price is the same for everybody now. And we have a payment plan. So if you want to check that out, go to the website. We discuss relationship dynamics because we believe it's extremely important for you to understand what your relationship is and what you're going through.
Observe the patterns.
It's observing the patterns and the dynamics. So it's not just about focusing on you, because I believe it's extremely important for you to recognize what the patterns are doing within your environment and your relationship. We talk about trauma bonds. We talk about self-care. We have a self-awareness module that I personally love. I love the self-awareness module. It's really fun for me because it's a challenge. We do boundaries. We help you with communication.
Self-care.
I think I said self-care, but I'll say it again. I said self-awareness. Yeah, self-care. We have a self-care module, which is awesome. And then there's a module for Matt's side of the story.
Yep.
So an addiction module. And I think that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it is. We also built it with a licensed therapist. He is our clinical architect on it. So you'll see videos, worksheets, prompts, journaling prompts, and all that fun stuff within there.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's helping a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get like total access to us, but like you kind of do.
Yeah, on Wednesdays.
Yeah, you kind of do.
Yeah,
email
and email too. Yeah, you get email with us. If you have something that you're going, but sometimes, just being able to talk about these things with people who understand you is healing in itself. It's a big deal to get it off your chest and talk about it with people who understand you.
This isn't part of what we discussed we were going to talk about, but I think it's important because I know I'm probably going to get the question is how much of your past and what you've gone through do you divulge to your children? And for me personally, I've talked about a lot of what I've gone through with my kids. I've made them aware that they very well could have this gene, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it runs in our family, about what I've been through, about the struggles that I had when I was their age, when I was younger, some of the decisions I made. But then I reassured them that it doesn't have to be their story. Mm-hmm. And they don't have to make those same decisions that I did. And as their guides, their mom and I are going to do our best to make sure that we give them every opportunity not to end up there. But at the very least, if they find themselves there, they'll know that there's hope and there's help, and then we can work on this. We can, but we do talk about it openly with our kids.
Yes, we
do. I know some people don't like to talk about it. They don't want to discuss it. It's almost like out of sight, out of mind. Or if you never mention it, they'll never know any better. Personally, listen, I don't want to knock anyone, whatever decision you decide to make. The reason I decided to come out with it was that they're going to go off to college one day. They're going to go to a high school party and they're going to be exposed to drugs or alcohol. It's going to be around. And I want it to live in the back of their mind, knowing what could be. Maybe it's a healthy fear. Maybe I look at it as like it's a healthy fear that you have at least knowledge of this. I'm not saying that you're going to get addicted the first time you smoke a joint or use something, right? But you ought to know the danger of how dangerous this shit can be.
Yep.
And what runs in you. And it could be there. And you could unlock it making the wrong decision enough times. It's possible, right? So yeah, that we let them know. You don't have to, I don't think, but I'd like to hear an argument for why you wouldn't. Would it just be that if they don't know any better, you trust that they'll just make the right decisions and then won't ever have to worry about that? Possibly. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think there are probably more pros to saying something.
No, I agree with that. No, you do need to speak with them about things that you feel could happen. That's definitely a possibility.
So how the hell do we parent, Paige?
Okay, so let's talk about some, how do we parent? How does this work? Yeah, let's just talk about some strateges to help you navigate this.
Those two.
And this is based on our experience and also some information that we've pulled. Whenever you respond, it's responding as a guide, as a teacher. This is a learning opportunity. It's not to judge them for the way that they respond or the way that they react. You correct it without linking it to their parent. It can be that simple. It's like I said earlier, they are an individual. Look at them as such and look at it as a teaching opportunity. That can be exciting in itself, where it's like, ooh, I get to mold a brain. I get to help mold a brain,
right.
you know, like I really get to be a part of this. Separate their identity from the behavior. You know, sneaking candy doesn't make them dishonest. It just means that they're going to learn why honesty matters. So anytime they lie, it's your opportunity to teach them why honesty is an important value for people and what it can do. We tell the kids all the time, if you lie, it's like the boy who cried wolf. When something happens that you really, need to tell the truth and you need help and you need people to listen and trust you, they're not going to trust you and they're not going to hear you and they're not going to save you because you have lied so many times. And I think that that's stuck with them. I think that they understand that because
I've tried to explain it to them also, and I've done a terrible job at it as a almost like a social currency, because everything, I shouldn't say everything, not everything on the internet that you see is a lie, but a lot of it has been designed to capture your attention. And so it's exaggerated, or maybe it's clickbaity, or sometimes it really is just fake shit that rolls out on the internet and there's like news and things like that.
Yeah.
And honesty has become such like a novelty. And in some ways, I think that honesty and authenticity, and I think that human to human experiences are going to be like the next frontier that AI and technology and everything else can't touch. And it's programmed into us. And there's something so attractive about honest, authentic people.
Yeah.
And that is, if you want to have real human capital, develop those things. I tell them, like, those are two things that it will never go out of style. Like, so important to have, like, as you attract a spouse or a mate, as you raise your own children, as you go get out in the world, you get a job and a career, like, your ability to be honest and authentic is going to be everything. That's everything. Like, if you're going to have any values, have those. But as Paige said, there's more practical reasons as well. Like, you want people to believe you when you're really having a problem, right? Mm-hmm. Well, then just be honest and you will be a trusted person. You won't have to worry about this anymore.
Right. And I think that we need to teach them what lying does to people, like what it really does.
As they get older, it's a conversation you start to have. Like, maybe if you want to open up as a spouse, like you could with the kids, like, you have any idea what lying did to me when I went through this with your dad? Like, how damaging this really is, and what I had to work through and rebuild in my own psyche about what's real and what's not. And you might just think it's a harmless lie. You might just think that telling her that, you're going to the game when you were really out with another girl isn't that big of a deal, but you have no idea how bad that can be for somebody.
Right.
Like, don't start this, dude.
Right.
And same for if you've got a little girl at home.
Yeah. It's our job to teach them these things as parents.
Man. We figured out how to do that. You ever seen that movie, The Invention of Lying?
The what?
Invention of Lying?
No.
Oh, check that out.
I don't think so. It's our duty to teach them these things, and make sure that they learn, especially going into adulthood. But we also need to model the repair. We need to show kids how to apologize, take accountability, how to calm down, or how to make amends, how to say they're sorry. Like, it's our job to model that behavior. So if we do something wrong, instead of lashing out to them, we need to take accountability and say, I'm sorry that I did this. I'm sorry. Anytime I screw up with the kids, I'm like, I'm so sorry that I did that. Again, I'm still learning. Bear with me. What can I do better next time? Like, I open that conversation with them instead of, blaming them for my reactions.
Yeah. You know what's really hard about this? I'm gonna do my best to describe what I'm feeling about it when it happens to us, because, man, kids can be really petty. Like, I think it's just kind of built into them. Like, they don't have the maturity of like understanding, like, that little comment or that dig isn't really getting you anything. But when kids try to run game on you that you could write a book on, there's something about that feels like almost like you think I'm stupid. And like that in some ways triggers a response in me that it's like,
oh, that's so true.
I wrote that effing book. Try me, dude. Try me. And it pisses me off. And I almost frame it in the context of like some of the stories that I get in emails or some of the stuff that I did. And it's like this huge reaction. And it must be really weird for them. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But it almost feels like you must think I'm stupid.
Yeah.
Like, bro, I wrote that book.
Yeah.
Like, you're reading version 3. I wrote version 1.
Don't you think that going about it in a teaching
there's a much better way to handle that, man. Use, like, storytelling is my favorite way to teach lessons in general.
Yes.
Like, I use stories, context and stories, and I would tell a story and let them, like, I try to be Mr. Miyagi in some ways. And I will let you pull from that what you think is important. There's much better ways to teach people things than just attacking them like, I've been through this shit for 20 years. I know exactly what this is. And no, dude, you have lost a kid when you pull that.
Yeah.
But I understand why you feel that way, because I feel the same way.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, dude, you can't You ain't getting that over on me. I made that game. I created the rules of that game.
But they're going to do this stuff. They're doing all of these things because they're learning how to figure out what they can get away with, figure out which boundaries that they can cross, and then
they're forming their identity, man.
They are. And if they don't have structure, if they don't have boundaries, if they don't have, somebody disciplining them or showing them the way, they're going to continue doing this through adulthood, and they're not going to know what to do. And it's up to us to make sure we provide that structure. We provide those boundaries. We provide that discipline, if you will, to show them the way in those teachable moments and let them know this is what we're going to do. And we model the behavior. It's so important that we model the same behavior we're trying to teach them.
Absolutely.
We're going to screw up though, guys. I don't want you to just listen to this and think, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I yelled at my kid. Oh, I can't believe I did this. I can't believe I reacted this way. Guys, we're going to react. It's normal. It's possible. We're just trying to help you gain some tools in your toolbox to handle a situation differently than you did before so that your kids have a chance in the future. Like it's important.
Half of this show is us sharing with you mistakes that we've made.
Right.
That's what it is.
Yeah. And what we've done to manage it and navigate it. So another thing that you can do is teach emotional language, because when kids are raised in chaotic situations, they often lack the vocabulary for their feelings. They don't know what their feelings mean. They just act on them instead of labeling them and recognizing what it is they're feeling. I try to do this really well with our daughter and we're actually doing it with our son as well. Hormones play a big part in our mood and the way that we react and the way that we respond to things and stuff like that. So it's my job to teach them how to regulate that stuff and talk about their feelings. What are you feeling right now? How does that feel? How do you think we can manage this? How do you feel like we can get through it? Talk to them about this stuff. And it's important, instead of just telling them what to do, talk through it. Talk about what they're feeling. And if they don't know, you break it down. Just break it down for them.
Yeah, and our kids are so much different about the way that they discuss their emotional worlds and how the vocabulary they have. Like on our daughter, I think it came a lot easier to her, but she can talk to you about it when she's in the mood anyway. She'll talk to you about it. But our son, it's so much different. He stonewalls. He doesn't want to discuss it. And I think in some ways he doesn't know how to define what he's feeling. In other ways, I think that he just doesn't want to have these stupid foo-foo conversations. That's cheesy. It's corny. And so I've had to find different ways to have these sorts of conversations with him. It is a goal of mine as a parent and as a man to teach my son the language of emotions at a young age. Mm-hmm. And so I know that for him, he has to get active. And once he's active, it sort of breaks down his walls and his barriers, and we can have conversations. So we go to the batting cages, we'll go to practice, we'll go do something active. And while playing catch or something like that, we can have some serious conversations about stuff. Mm-hmm. And he gets open and vulnerable, and he can be more humble about things and not so embarrassed about it. But I'm never, ever, ever going to stop wearing them out on the importance of emotional intelligence and just the language of emotions.
Right. Talk about it. It's important.
It takes effort. Takes a lot of effort. They're not going to volunteer.
I was going to say, a lot of this stuff that we're telling you it's hard, guys. It's not easy to do this, but it's not easy to parent. But if we want our kids to have the best chance and best opportunity, we can look at it again as a challenge, as a positive challenge. Embrace it. Look at it as oh my gosh, I actually get to do this. I get to teach somebody something. I get to be a part of that. That's a beautiful thing to look at, but it's not easy. It is hard as hell because you have to be very consistent. You have to be diligent. You have to be very aware. You have to think things it's easy to just chill and not think through things and just let them do whatever the hell they want to do, but you're going to suffer the consequences if we do that. We have to change the way that we react and respond to stuff.
We could just save up and send them to military school.
No. No.
Let them handle it.
So again, I just talked about consistency. Consistency is safety. It's important to stay consistent as much as possible. Having some rules, boundaries, routines, following through on these things. That's going to help you, help them, become an individual that they want to become, and not they won't have as many outbursts as your addicted partner, I guess you could say.
So much about life is consistency and showing up. It really is. I remember when I was in college for my first year or two, and I was getting straight A's, and I had never made A's at any point in my high school or junior high at all. And I remember thinking to myself, I think I look back on my life, whatever 15 years or whatever since then. And I'm I think that a a huge part of life is just being consistent and showing up. Just consistently showing up. And that's a lot of recovery. That's a lot of, it's huge. It's massive. It's how we've built the show. It's just consistency and showing up.
That's how you rewire your brain.
It really is,
it's literally learning new skills and then consistently doing it. And
there's something that's so comforting about consistency.
Yes, there is.
From a child's perspective, man, it's everything to them.
It is.
It's everything to them. And so if you've got a turbulent partner, if you've got a chaotic situation like that, your consistency can be, I mean, really make it or break it for them. They can be everything for them, is your ability to be consistent. And I know how tough that is. And that's a huge ask for people too.
Yeah, it is.
As you're not getting much of it and you have very little support, and it's not like anyone showed you how to do this stuff. And so like you're a martyr in some ways for this child, you know? And, but that's kind of what we do when we sign up as parents, isn't it?
Yep.
That's kind of the sacrifices that we make. That's what we agree to do.
It's part of it.
But I just want to let you know that like we see you.
Yeah, we get it.
We got you.
Yeah,
we got you.
Totally we've got 10 minutes. I was trying to.
Okay, signs to watch for. Let's go through these red flags real quick.
Okay.
Why are you always pushing me?
I'm not. I'm sorry.
Every time we get a good combo, you're like, we got to end this.
It's not my fault. I have to go pick up our kid.
Should be all right.
Or you're gonna go pick up our kid.
Should be all right.
No, because they have to be done by that time.
Should be all right.
Anyway, I'm not. So it's not me. Don't.
Okay, so what are some normal kid behaviors? Like what do normal shit kids do?
Okay, most of the things that we've been discussing is very normal.
Kids are gonna lie,
to avoid trouble. Sometimes they will manipulate. Sometimes they're going to slam doors. They're going to have those tantrums. They're going to have emotional meltdowns. They're going to try to get their way. They're going to do so many things that your addicted partner has done. They might, say they might be emotionally manipulative to where they're like, oh, I'm just so bad. I'm so wrong, and try to get a reaction out of you. This is normal. This is kids learning what they can and cannot get away with.
Yeah. And I think there's some things that are totally normal and you have to accept those as normal and know the difference between that and something that is a total red flag. Like concerning patterns would be like persistent dishonesty. Like there's the normal adolescent version, which is someone lying about homework or their grades or brushing their teeth or some shit like that, Yeah. But then there's concerning, which is like habitual lying, which is, and doing it without remorse as well. Like, over small stuff. Like, why would you lie about that? Why? Like, what is that about? Or deception that puts like themselves or other people like real risk, like whether that's with substances or unsafe relationships. Or a lack of willingness to repair or even admit that they were wrong. What did you just do? You're giving me a look like you just you got something all over my rock. I knew she was hiding something. You had a look, dude.
I've been fidgeting over here because I like to have something in my hand when we're having a conversation. It's like my safety rock, and I had it in a candle.
Manipulative behaviors. Kids, since the beginning of time until the end of time, are going to pit one parent against the other. Our daughter knows that I'm the more chillax one of the two of us. And so she is always going to approach me when there's something a little edgier that she wants to try, or maybe a concert she wants to go to. She's going to come to me.
When she wants something that's like materialistic.
Is that manipulative? Yeah, but kids, that's a normal kid, guys. That kids are always going to do that. But when they're exploiting people's emotions to avoid accountability, that's totally different, right? That is completely different. If they're making a scene because they know they can get you to react so they can get what they want, it's a little bit different than like pitting someone against the other or negotiating or exaggerating their needs. Like I wrote this down earlier. Like I would do this even as an adult in my 20s with you, is I would slam, like when I would get caught in a lie or you would like want to discuss something important, I would intentionally get really reactive and appear like I'm a lot more hurt and upset by this thing that quote unquote wasn't true that you said, to make you back off, to make you take it serious that like, oh, I've really hurt him. I was doing that with the intention to manipulate. That was my goal in doing that, was to manipulate you. It wasn't. That's crazy. Isn't that nuts? I did not know that you were capable of really doing that. Oh yeah. Like let's say that a teen gets caught cheating on a test and instead of owning it, they cry uncontrollably and they say like, well, you don't understand how much pressure I am. You just want me to fail. Like dad thinks I'm always a failure, like shit like that. Like that's okay, guys. They have now figured out how to really dig into the deeper parts of emotion and use those against you. That's something that my kids will probably pull at some point. Yeah. It's something that I will be concerned about when it happens. And that is different than like normal childhood, like pitting someone against each other. I think you know the difference. You'll know it when you see it. A lack of empathy is always something to be concerned about.
Absolutely.
Not having any remorse for things like, what the hell, man?
Bullying their siblings, their friends,
bullies and stuff like
pets, that. Like, that's concerning behavior.
Right. Yeah. Some of that stuff is things that I would look out for. Like that's some stuff I'm on the lookout for. If you've got better examples of this, let me know. I would love to hear more about that kind of stuff. So let's close it out because I do have to run here soon.
Okay. Just remember that your kid is not your spouse. They are their own person.
Yep.
They are allowed to make mistakes. They are allowed to be children. They are allowed to be emotionally immature. It's just our job to make sure that we can be there for them, provide a safe space, stay consistent with them, and teach them, show them a way. Look at it as a teaching opportunity.
Yeah. And I just, man, my heart goes out to you guys, listeners that are dealing with this stuff. And a lot of you are dealing with it without sort of like an end in sight. Like you're dealing with this stuff and there's still so much uncertainty around. Like if your partner starts to repair damage and they start to recover, they start to take accountability. And I know it's tough to be raising a kid, as we talked so much in this episode about the environment and how much the environment matters. And it does matter. But I would also like to take note and say that having one safe, stable parent can be the difference.
Yes.
It really can.
Mm-hmm.
Will that other person affect them in some way? Yeah, there's no getting around it. It will, but you could have a bigger impact on them. Yep. You really can. Mm-hmm. I want you to take some peace and solace in that. But also at the same time, you're going to have to cut them some slack whenever they're doing normal teenage or kid stuff. And understand that like they're not necessarily your partner. Yeah. And it's difficult. And if you screw it up, you will not be the first. You will be in the club that we are in as well, that make mistakes every day as parents.
Yep.
And it's okay. It's okay, y'all. We're trying to be better. You're here. You're trying to be better. And I think that means a lot. That says everything about you. And we're here with you through it.
We got your back.
Yep. We got you. You're never alone in this deal whenever you're listening along with us. We're right there with you.
Yeah.
All right. That's all we've got here. What we got for next week? We have that yet?
I do, but I don't.
You don't want to reveal that?
No, because what if I change my mind?
That's true. Holding your cards close to your vest. Okay. Until next time, I'm Matt.
I'm Paige.
We'll see you.
Bye.